There's a drawer in his bedroom he hasn't opened in years. Inside, an old bottle of cologne he used to wear on date nights, a scarf that once smelled like her perfume, and a photo taken before everything slowed down. That drawer isn't just full of things, it holds a version of him he thought was gone. Because somewhere along the way, he stopped reaching for her hand. She stopped leaning into his shoulder. Not because the love faded, but because aging told them, quietly and relentlessly, that closeness was behind them. That story, it plays out in homes across the world, maybe even yours. We've been told that aging means slowing down, shutting off, and saying goodbye to the kind of intimacy that once made us feel truly alive. But what if that's wrong? What if intimacy doesn't disappear? It just waits. Waits for permission, for presence, or for something as simple as a bowl of fruit on the kitchen table? I'm Dr. James, a men's health expert with over 30 years helping seniors rekindle not just their energy, but their desire to feel loved, connected, and alive in their own bodies again. And what I've discovered might surprise you. It's not a hormone shot, not a prescription. It's 4 ordinary fruits found in your fridge, not your pharmacy. Fruits that speak quietly to your body's circulation, your hormones, and your sense of warmth. The kind you thought you had to leave behind at a certain age. Today, I'll show you exactly what they are, how they work, and why your age is not the end of your intimacy. It's the beginning of a new chapter. If you've ever whispered to yourself, "Is this just what growing old feels like?" Stay with me. You're not broken. You're simply waiting to remember how it feels to be touched without pain, without pressure, just presence. And that memory might begin with something as small as a grape. But maybe the most damaging part of this myth is not what it takes from the body. It's what it takes from the spirit. Because once you begin to believe that intimacy no longer belongs to you, you stop reaching out. You stop asking for touch. If you stop looking your partner in the eye for just a second longer, hoping they might still feel that quiet spark you do. And over time, that distance doesn't just live between your bodies, it lives between your hearts. It's not biology, that's resignation. And it doesn't have to be this way. You see, when I sit across from an older man who tells me he's tired, not just in his legs, but in his connection, or when I speak with a woman who confesses she hasn't felt beautiful in years, I don't think they need a prescription. I think they need to be reminded that they still belong to each other. Intimacy in older age isn't about performance. It's about presence. It's about warmth, safety, and the quiet confidence that your body still knows how to love and be loved when given the right support. And that support isn't complicated. It's not expensive. It's not hidden in a clinic. It's in your grocery bag, in your fridge, in the small choices that send your body the message, I still care, I still want to feel. Here's what the science tells us, and what I've seen again and again in my practice. When you improve blood flow to the lower body, when you support nitric oxide production, when you reduce inflammation and nourish your nervous system, your body responds. Your hands stop feeling cold. Your mind starts clearing. And one day, out of nowhere, your partner brushes your shoulder and you feel something. Not just on the skin, but deep underneath. Like your body saying, "Yes, I remember this." That's why I've dedicated my work to helping older adults reclaim not just circulation and energy, but closeness. Because connection isn't a luxury of youth. It's a right of every stage of life. And today, I want to show you how to restore it, not through chemicals, but through something far older and wiser than modern medicine. Through 4 of them, each chosen by nature to do something extraordinary for your body. Not only do they improve circulation, they help your cells communicate again. They support your heart, your brain, your hormones, and your desire. But most importantly, they remind you what it feels like to be fully alive. So before we talk about red grapes or papaya, I want you to pause and ask yourself this. What if the spark you miss isn't gone? What if it's simply waiting for oxygen, for nourishment, before permission? Because this next part might be the moment your body starts to remember and your heart begins to hope again. Some people think intimacy fades with age because the body forgets how. But what I've learned after decades of listening to older couples, not just examining them, is that the body doesn't forget. It waits. It waits through the years when life gets too busy. It waits through the grief of loss and change. It waits through the silence that grows in long-term relationships where love still lives, but touch has gone quiet. And maybe it's waiting for you. I want to show you 3 moments that come from real people. Moments you might recognize, even if you've never said them out loud. There's a man in his 70s. He sits alone in the kitchen every morning. His wife still makes his coffee, still reminds him to take his vitamins, still folds his laundry just right. They love each other deeply, but they haven't kissed in weeks, months even. And when she brushes past him on her way to the sink, he wants to reach for her, but doesn't. He tells himself it's silly, that at this age, she doesn't want that kind of affection anymore. But the truth is, he misses her terribly. There is a woman in her mid-60s. She stands in front of her mirror and lifts her shirt slowly, noticing the softness in her belly, the changes in her skin. She once felt beautiful, desirable, even playful. But somewhere between raising kids, managing a household, and watching her own mother decline, she let go of that part of herself. Now, when her partner touches her back at night, she flinches, not from pain, but from unfamiliarity. She's forgotten how to receive touch without apologizing for her body. And there's the couple who've been married for 40 years. They've made it through everything: job losses, heart surgeries, caregiving for aging parents. They sleep in the same bed, share the same meals, but they don't share themselves anymore. Not like before. It's not resentment, it's not boredom, it's absence, a quiet drifting. And neither of them knows how to bring it back. If any of this feels familiar, I want you to know something. Truly know it. You are not broken. You are not alone. And the desire you miss isn't a thing of the past, it's a part of you. It's still there. I've met countless older adults who come into my office saying, "We're fine." But when we talk a little deeper, fine often means something else. It means we don't fight, but we don't touch. It means we still talk, but never about the parts that feel vulnerable. It means we've learned to live with less, but we're not sure we like it. And you know what? That makes perfect sense. Because no one teaches us how to love each other when our bodies change. No one prepares us for what to do when libido softens, when medications affect sensation, when fatigue steals the evening. We're left to figure it out in silence. But silence doesn't have to be your final story. In fact, the most powerful intimacy I've ever witnessed didn't come from youthful energy. It came from presence, from 2 people learning to see each other again, not with the eyes of youth, but with the tenderness that comes from surviving life together. It came from small moments, cutting fruit for each other in the morning, letting fingers brush as they pass in the hallway, learning to laugh again, not because anything's perfect, but because something inside still wants to feel. And sometimes the first step back into that warmth doesn't begin in the bedroom. It begins at the breakfast table, with something as small as a bowl of grapes or a handful of cherries. Something that says, without words, I still want this connection. I still want you. This part of life, your 60s, 70s, even 80s, isn't a slow goodbye. It's a different kind of beginning. One built not on adrenaline, but on gentleness. Not on urgency, but on understanding. So if your body has grown quieter over the years, if your relationship feels steady but not warm, if part of you longs for something more but doesn't know how to name it, you're not alone. And the fact that you're still listening, still reading, still hoping, that tells me everything. You're not done. You're ready. And in the next part of this journey, I'll show you how 4 simple fruits can help you reclaim what's already yours. Circulation, energy, warmth, touch, and maybe even desire. Let's begin with something that doesn't look like medicine at all. It doesn't come in a bottle. It doesn't require a prescription. And yet it can do what many pills cannot. It helps your blood flow with freedom. It speaks gently to your nervous system. And most of all, it awakens what's been waiting under the surface. I'm talking about fruit. But not just any fruit. These 4 are special, chosen by nature and confirmed by science. They don't fix everything, but they do one powerful thing. They nourish your capacity to connect. Let's start with one that may already be sitting in your kitchen bowl. Red grapes. The flow restorer. They look small, ordinary, but inside each one is a powerhouse compound called resveratrol. Resveratrol helps relax the walls of your blood vessels, making it easier for blood to move throughout your body, including to the areas that matter most for intimacy and connection. I remember an older gentleman, early 70s, who came to see me with complaints of cold hands, cold feet, and something he hesitated to say. When he finally did, his voice got quieter. It just doesn't work the way it used to. We started small. Every morning, a handful of red grapes. Every evening, a short walk. 3 weeks later, he came back, smiling. "Doctor," he said, "I didn't think it was the grapes, but I feel warmer. My wife noticed too." His circulation isn't just about movement. It's about feeling, warmth, strength, and responsiveness. For men, this means better oxygen flow to the lower body, and when nitric oxide production increases, as resveratrol helps it do, erections become stronger, more sustained, and more natural. For women, it means improved sensitivity, more comfort, and more warmth in areas where dryness and numbness may have taken root. It's not about magic. It's about movement. Inside and out. And the beauty of red grapes is that they're so easy to begin with. Pop them into your morning yogurt. Eat them with a piece of cheese in the afternoon. Let your body relearn what vitality feels like. Cranberries, the kidney guardian. This fruit often gets dismissed as a holiday garnish, but it deserves much more than that. Cranberries are one of the most powerful fruits for protecting the urinary tract and supporting kidney health. 2 areas that play a hidden but critical role in sexual wellness. Right, because when your kidneys are struggling, toxins linger longer in your blood. When your urinary tract is inflamed, pressure and discomfort can overshadow pleasure. And when those systems are inflamed, so is your ability to feel. Cranberries work as gentle detoxifiers. They contain natural compounds that reduce inflammation, flush bacteria, and support the healthy function of your bladder and kidneys. For men, this means better regulation of blood pressure and a reduction in silent inflammation that can interfere with performance. For women, it can mean less irritation, less dryness, and more comfort during moments of closeness. I once had a patient who shared something quietly. I've been saying no for months, not because I don't want to, but because I'm afraid it'll hurt. She began adding a splash of unsweetened cranberry juice to her water every morning. Within weeks, she told me, it's like my body finally stopped flinching. More than that, her confidence returned. Because feeling safe in your own body is where intimacy begins. Papaya, the energy awakener. If red grapes restore flow and cranberries bring safety, papaya brings something deeper: radiance. This fruit is sunshine in edible form. Rich in vitamin C, beta-carotene, and powerful digestive enzymes like papain, papaya reduces internal inflammation and helps your body absorb nutrients more effectively. But what makes it truly special for aging adults is its impact on hormones. Papaya supports testosterone production in men and helps balance estrogen in women. It nourishes the adrenal glands, your stress-regulating center, and improves energy metabolism. For one couple I worked with, this fruit marked the turning point. Who's a retired principal. She was a former nurse. They'd tried to eat healthy for years, but still felt tired, disconnected, and emotionally flat. They began blending fresh papaya with a spoon of Greek yogurt every morning. Within a month, their energy shifted. They weren't suddenly 20 again, but they were laughing more, touching more, sleeping better. For him, the stiffness in his mornings began to ease. For her, the heaviness in her mood began to lift. Because papaya doesn't just support your physical body, it supports your chemistry. And when your hormones are in harmony, desire flows more easily. Not from pressure, but from within. Cherries, the intimacy booster. There's something poetic about cherries. A deep velvet color. The way you have to slow down to eat them. No rushing, no grabbing. Cherries remind us that some things are meant to be savored. Biologically, they are rich in anthocyanins, antioxidants that protect blood vessels, reduce arterial stiffness, and support the production of nitric oxide. What does that mean for you? Better blood flow to your heart, to your brain, and yes, to the areas involved in sexual arousal and sensation. But cherries don't stop there. They also contain natural melatonin, which helps improve sleep quality, a key factor in hormone regulation, emotional health, and even libido. I once worked with a couple, married over 40 years, who felt like they were emotionally close but physically distant. He told me he felt foggy, sluggish, and disconnected. She said she missed the small things, holding hands, the warmth of skin on skin. I recommended cherries, not as a cure, but as a bridge. They added a small bowl to their evening routine, sitting together as the sun set. 2 months later, they told me they were sleeping better, touching more, laughing again. She called it their cherry hour. That's what cherries do. They don't make a grand entrance. They soften, they soothe, they reconnect. When you feel rested, when your blood is flowing, and your body is no longer bracing against pain or pressure. Intimacy returns, often without needing to be forced. because your body doesn't need to be convinced to love aging. It only needs the space and support to remember how. Let me ask you something, and I want you to answer not with your head, but with your heart. When was the last time you reached for your partner's hand, not out of habit, but out of longing? When was the last time you felt the warmth of their skin and didn't just remember love, but felt it move through you? When was the last time you touched someone and felt something stir beneath the surface, something old, familiar, soft, and alive? If you can't remember, you're not alone. And that's exactly why we need to pause here. Because the next step in this journey isn't another fruit. It's a question, one that only you can answer. Have you given up quietly? Not out loud, not even consciously. But have you accepted less connection, less closeness, less warmth, not because you don't want it, but because you're afraid it's too late to feel it again? I've sat with men who tell me, my wife's not interested anymore. And I've spoken to women who say, he never reaches for me, so I stopped trying to. And behind all of it, I hear the same unspoken ache. What if this is just how it is now? But I'm here to tell you that ache, that question, it means you still care. And if you still care, it's not too late. Here's what I want you to hold close in this moment. Your body hasn't shut down. It's simply been waiting for breath, for blood flow, for a whisper of, yes, I still want this. In your heart, it's been waiting too. Because intimacy isn't something you earn by being young or strong or perfect. It's something you keep alive by being willing to ask, to try, to soften, to show up again. That might begin with a cherry on your evening plate, or a handful of grapes shared at breakfast. But really, it begins with a decision. Not a grand one, just a quiet one. A decision to believe that touch still matters, that pleasure isn't off limits, that love, real love, can be rediscovered, even if it's been silent for a while. And I want to gently challenge you here, not to change everything overnight, but to take one honest look at the way you've been living and ask yourself, is there more waiting for me? Have I settled for less than I truly desire? And what would happen if I gave myself permission to want again? Because desire doesn't mean pressure. It means presence. And if you've made it this far, reading, listening, hoping, you are already closer than you think. The rest of this journey will show you how to nourish that hope with care, with science, and with the smallest of rituals. But for now, before we move on, pause, take a breath. Place your hand over your chest. Feel your heart still beating. That rhythm, that pulse, it's not just circulation. It's readiness. Something begins to shift when you give yourself permission to feel again. It doesn't happen like lightning. It doesn't come with fireworks. It comes quietly, like sunlight warming a room at dawn. You start to notice little things. Your hands aren't as cold. You wake up feeling a bit more rested. Question: you catch yourself humming while slicing fruit for breakfast. You notice how your partner's laugh still makes you smile, how the touch of their arm in the kitchen doesn't startle you anymore, but grounds you. That's the shift we're talking about. Because when you nourish your body with intention, your body responds. And when your body responds, so does your heart. This isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you already are, beneath the years, beneath the labels, beneath the layers of, I guess this is just what aging feels like. Here's what I tell my patients. You don't need a dramatic routine. You need a rhythm. Something gentle, something steady, something that reminds your body day after day, I'm here, I care, I'm still choosing connection. So what does that look like? Maybe it's starting your morning with red grapes, letting that small burst of sweetness wake up your circulation. Maybe it's a spoonful of fresh papaya with Greek yogurt, easing inflammation while feeding your energy. Maybe it's dried cranberries tossed into your lunch, quietly protecting your kidneys and your confidence. Or cherries in the evening, bringing you deeper sleep and softer thoughts as you wind down beside the one you love. These are not big gestures. They're invitations. And with each small act, your body starts to trust again. Your nervous system eases its grip. Your hormones begin to balance. Your blood vessels relax. And somewhere under all that chemistry, desire stretches its limbs and stirs awake. One woman once told me, "I didn't realize how disconnected I'd become until I felt warmth in my legs again." Another said, "My husband put his hand on my lower back and I felt something, not passion, but presence, and it moved me to tears." That's what's possible when you shift from ignoring your body to honoring it. When you stop accepting silence as safety and begin welcoming sensation as healing, everything changes. You stop rushing. You stop numbing. You stop telling yourself you don't need touch just because you've learned to live without it. You begin remembering that love is not just memory. It's not just stories from your younger years. It's breath. It's closeness. It's your partner's hand reaching for yours during a walk and your fingers tightening in return, without thinking, without fear. And here's something most people don't realize. That shift doesn't just benefit you. It ripples outward. When you begin caring for your vitality again, your partner feels it. When you feel more present in your body, your eyes soften. Your laughter deepens. And your home becomes a space of reconnection, not just routine. So if this all feels tender, if it brings up both hope and hesitation, that's okay. It means you're paying attention. It means something inside of you is waking up. You've made it this far in the story not because you're curious, but because you're ready. And now, the next part is simple. Not easy, perhaps. But simple. Start. Choose one fruit. Add it to one moment of your day, and let it be more than food. Let it be a symbol of care, of curiosity, of the shift that's already begun inside you. Because when you do, something beautiful happens. You begin to trust that the spark you thought was gone was never really gone. It was just waiting for this. This is not the end of the story. This is the part where everything begins to come together. You've seen the science. You've heard the stories. You've felt the stirrings of recognition. Those quiet moments that whisper, maybe this could be true for me too. And now, it's time to take one last breath before you step forward, not into a new body, but into a new relationship with the one you already have. You see, aging has never been the enemy. Disconnection is. Because the truth is, your body is still alive with possibility. Your heart still longs for closeness. Your skin still craves the electricity of being touched with care. You're not chasing youth. You're reclaiming presence. The kind of presence that makes you notice how the morning light touches your partner's face. The kind of presence that lets you feel warmth return to places that once felt numb. The kind of presence that lets you reach for their hand at night, not out of routine, but out of choice. And it all begins with something as simple as fruit. Not because grapes or cherries or papaya hold some magic spell, but because you do. Because when you nourish yourself with intention, When you choose foods that support your blood flow, your hormones, your healing, you are telling your body, I remember, I matter, I'm still here. I want you to imagine this. You're sitting down to breakfast tomorrow. You place a small bowl of red grape. You don't rush. Yeah, you take one between your fingers. You taste it slowly. And as you do, something shifts, not in your mouth, but in your mind. Because that grape is no longer just a snack. It's a symbol, a declaration that you are not giving up on vitality, that you are not giving in to silence, that you are choosing today, again, to feel. Then, later that evening, maybe you pour a few cherries into a small dish. You sit with your partner on the porch. There's no grand conversation, but just presence. And maybe, just maybe, your hands find each other again. That is the revolution. Not flashy, not loud, but real. That's how you bring life back into your limbs, your laughter, your love. You don't have to overhaul your diet. You don't have to explain anything to anyone. You just have to begin. One breath, one touch, and from there the body will remember. The heart will soften, and the spark you thought was gone will start to glow again. Because you were never too old. You were never too late. What you were just waiting for someone to say. It's okay to want this. Again, it's okay to begin now. So here I am, saying it clearly, with all my heart. Not because you should, but because you deserve to.